Well, good afternoon, West Ham fans. Hope everyone is well. It's DJ Rusty B, the place to be. RIP Peach. And yeah, it's a monumentous day in the calendar. I'm sure you're all aware. 44 years ago, I entered this world. Yes, 44 years ago. Unbelievable. Moisturising is the answer you're looking for. And very kind, lots of birthday wishes on the channel, and people have been sending like super chats and stuff. It's very kind of you. All that's going to be donated straight to the Iron Supporting Food Banks. They need that money a lot more than I do, in all honesty. This morning we spoke about panic in the boardroom and talking about the fact that you've got all of the board were in the UK this weekend, or the Crystal Palace weekend, which is the first time that's probably ever happened, I reckon, and talking about what that could mean, implications of that, and that sort of ties into something we'll talk about in a bit. And then this afternoon we had another edition of the Brothers in Crossed Arms, the highly regarded new series involving myself, the Hornchurch Button, with Tom, the Blue Wall Button, and Simon, the Dubai Button. So the three of us talking about a little bit about West Ham now, but mainly sort of bit of fun, looking back with a wry smile at things that happened at West Ham which don't happen anymore. We talked about the clown on the big screen, Super Sponge, Hammerettes, Mr. Moon, the hotel, chicken balti pies, all that type of stuff. So if you want a bit of a break from everything that currently is West Ham, go back and watch that. It's nostalgia, it's fun, and we do that on a semi-regular basis. If you enjoy it, give it a like, and that obviously encourages us to do more episodes. But hopefully we've got another cracking episode of the award-winning, I just made up an award, Hammer's Headlines in association with 𝗣𝗦𝗡𝗥𝗦 boys. Three stories I want to talk about. I want to talk about takeover rumours, I want to talk about manager rumours, and I want to talk about ex-players as well, keeping an eye on some of our ex-players, and they've recently, a couple of them have had some developments in terms of where they've moved to. So let's talk takeovers. Now, it has been reported in the last sort of couple of days that PSG Qatari owners are looking to invest in the football side in the UK, and I think it was Hammers News did a really good article. They sort of trace back all the sort of kind of rumours and takeover suggestions that have happened. Now, back in I think it was Christmas 2016, I think it's 2016, Sullivan actually put out an official statement on the club website to say that he had rejected a tentative offer of £650 million from Red Bull for the club. And in fact, I've got the quote here. I would like to say that I've taken the opportunity that the story that appeared in the Sun on Boxing Day morning, what a lovely Christmas present that would have been for some people, regarding the possible sale of the club to Red Bull is 6 months out of date. We did have a tentative approach to buy the club for £650 million from external investors in August 2016. But I want to reiterate that we, the current owners, have, in capital letters, no desire to sell the club unless it is to someone like the King of Saudi Arabia. He's already, it's like Nostradamus. It's like Nostradamus. He would not sell it unless it was to someone like the King of Saudi Arabia, who could take it to a level we cannot ourselves hope to reach. There it is. In the King's English, with the Queen's English back then, Nostradamus himself said he would only sell it to Saudi Arabia, the King of Saudi Arabia. Now that might not be too distant from the truth, in all honesty. We know over the last couple of weeks there's a number of interested parties in the gold shares, which I think would then potentially open up the conversation to a wider takeover bid. But that's very much down the line, and it's months and months until maybe that gold shares would be sold. There's no secret that the Qatari, the super rich Qataris have basically bought up all the land around the Olympic Park. There's no secret that the QIA already own the Olympic Village, of which the stadium is bang in the middle. And back in 2016, it was reported that Spurs were also on the radar for the Qatari ownership, with discussions had with Daniel Levy at the time, and obviously they recently they've rejected 2 offers from external investors to take over, and that, I think, conversely led to why Daniel Levy is no longer associated with Tottenham. On that perspective, he's still a shareholder, but not necessarily the chairman, because maybe I think he might want to sell, and Enoch didn't, and that's where it happened. And then I think if you remember Ratcliffe, when he took over of Man United, there was Sheikh Yazim was another. There was like two options. It was Sheikh Yazim or it was Ratcliffe, and it was always with Ratcliffe because basically it wasn't a full takeover. It was, the Glazers still had a percentage stake in the company, and there was rumblings that if Sheikh Yazim didn't win that bid, he would have either looked at Spurs and West Ham. Now, unverified claims are that the Qatari Sports Investment Fund, headed up by Nasser Al-Khelaifi, is heavily interested in acquiring a major stake in a football club, and it looks like Bristol City may be the potential. Subsequently, then it was suggested that 𝗣𝗪𝗡 𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗢, the boxing promoter, was going to be buying a stake, and he actually went to Twitter yesterday to say he wasn't. But an update on the potential Bristol City buying, it was claimed that the Qatari Sports Investment tried to buy a stake in West Ham in 2023, but saw it rejected. So with everything that's happening now, and the fact that foreign people were showed around the Rush Green area, could we put two and two together? Quite possibly, but there's a sports fund sort of consortium who are looking to invest in football, and Bristol City seems a bit of a random suggestion. Could it be that that could be a smokescreen for, as we said, there does seem to be some more progress in the David Gold shares, or the Gold family shares, in recent weeks. That coincided with everyone in the UK, in the West Ham board, was in the UK last weekend. Two and two together makes 5, but we'll keep an eye on that. Talking about the West Ham, let's talk about Daniel Kaczynski, and he's no to candidates. He's apparently, according to reports, primarily in 𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗢, has said he's unimpressed with the names being put forward as potential replacements for Graham Potter. The Czech billionaire is heavily involved in the final decision-making process, and it seems nobody at board level is confident in Potter's ability to turn things around at the London Stadium, with the likes of, we believe, Karen Brady's pushing for a new appointment. We've got David Sullivan, who originally wanted Bilic. That's what we were led to be believed, and now he's starting to look at Scott Parker. Our understanding is the names of Scott Parker, Gary O'Neill, Slaven Bilic were forwarded to Daniel Kaczynski, but he was unimpressed, according to 𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗢. As a result, none of them are likely to be appointed, with all the shareholders increasingly concerned about the looming threat of relegation. It seems once all the dust is cleared that Nuno is the most likely candidate, but Marco Silva is understood to be the preferred choice, pretty much, among Daniel Kaczynski and also among David Sullivan, let's be believed. However, with a buyout clause of around £8 million, or it's about 9 million, I think, all in, that's, although Sullivan likes David Sullivan, Marco Silva, with that £8 million price tag, it's less likely that they would pay the fee. Without a shareholder cash injection for that, it looks as though West Ham are once again be missing out on their top target in an effort to save money. And the short-term saving could be very costly in the long run. Now, as Holly alluded to yesterday, you've got interim, and you've got a full, permanent manager. As we know, Silva's contract runs out in the summer. We also know that Aurelio's contract runs out in the summer, unless obviously they sign new deals. But yeah, I think it's good that if it's meant to be believed that Daniel Kaczynski went, look, I don't want any of these guys. I don't want Slav. I don't want O'Neill. I don't want Parker. I think we would all tend to agree with that. So it is, and obviously being the second shareholder, largest shareholder, he does have sway. However, that's why I think whoever takes over the gold shares is going to be really interesting, because for me, where traditionally if there was a three vote, Gold would tend to favour with Sullivan, and Danny would be the outsider. With that being said, those stocks being, those shares being given to someone else, or someone else buys them, that's a very different dynamic in terms of yes and no, because Sullivan would not always be backed. Where previously I think he was more likely to be backed than not by David Gold. So we'll see, keep an eye on that. And let's talk about a couple of old players, recentish players, who have found new homes. Obviously, West Ham terminated the final 12 months of 𝗲𝗚𝗚 _𝗢𝗢𝗡, believed about 20k a week. I think it was a decision which was probably about a year too late, to be honest, for both parties. But it would allow the defender to not only basically find his next home without any sort of restrictions in terms of West Ham where he could go to. Now, reports in August suggested that 𝗲𝗚𝗚 was under constant consideration for the signing of the Brazilian Serie A side, Fortaleza, who are currently sit 19th in the Brazilian top flight and heading towards relegation. However, he will now be fighting for promotion rather than relegation. A month after packing his bags at London Stadium, well, Rush Green never got to London Stadium, he's signed a short-term deal with promotion chasing 𝗓𝗍𝗓 Club in Brazil Serie B. And they're currently third in division, so good luck to 𝗲𝗚𝗚. Also, Grady Diangana, who's been a free agent since being released by West Brom in July. He is now turning himself out in La Liga. He has joined newly promoted Lecce as a free agent on a 2-year deal, and featured in the matchday score for the first time during their 2-2 draw with Sevilla earlier this month. But he made his debut, got on for the last 20 minutes on Saturday as they played Real Oviedo in a 1-0 victory. So congratulations to Grady. He's only 27. All the hoo-ha when he left for 20 million back then. That's a cracking deal in hindsight, wasn't it? It really was, because he did nothing really at West Brom. They didn't, but he was there for years, really. And now he's at Lecce. Good luck to him. Good luck to him. Anyway, my friends, that's it from me. Don't forget to check out Knees Up Michael Brown for latest news, reviews, and opinions. And we'll be back tomorrow. I think it's be a Graham Potter press conference. What more could you ask for, you lucky people? And we might get the Late Late Show from Irish Tommy, who is alive. Just want to say he's alive. And yeah, take care. And actually, also we'll have a review from the West Ham versus Brighton under-21 match as well. So take care, everyone. Stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith. Latest potatoes. Much love. Bye-bye.